Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what? I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people.
Right.
You want people to care. You want to strike emotions. And I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter pounder with cheese in France, Mickey. What? Royale with cheese. Mickey. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice that my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey everyone, and welcome to a late edition of Superhero Speak. I'm your host Dave.
And John.
JD.
Yes, because of the holiday, we didn't record on Monday, and then I had plans on Tuesday, so your show will be a day or two late. You'll live with it. We're usually on time.
We've been on time for, 8 years?
If it really bothers you, I will personally pay you back the money that you have spent on listening to this podcast.
Oh, it's free. Oh, okay. So,
well, okay then.
So how was everyone's holiday weekend, JD?
COVIDy. Very, very COVIDy. When I cleared, I was making sure it was good. The day my wife was supposed to come back, she popped. So then I had to go stay in a hotel for a few days because I had to work last week. And then she's been dealing with it. She's good, but we're still in the quarantine period. So we're okay. You know, you live in the country, nobody cares. So it sucks. It's the reality of life. Kid goes back to school Monday. And, you know, I'm trying to look at the positives. Like, well, he got it now before the wintertime comes and it gets bad. That's all I can say to kind of make myself feel better about all this.
Right. So
that was my weekend. I got to see some wrestling. While my family was COVIDed up, I went to a wrestling show because I had nothing else to do. So, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, okay. How about you, John? Anything fun?
I read the reading material that we're going to go over in one sitting in 2 hours. I caught up on a lot of anime that I was behind on. Still haven't caught up on all the CW shows. I have like 40 hours of those shows just sitting on my DVR.
From last season?
Yeah, like, I mean, you know, it's got, after everything collapsed, it's gotten hard to watch. The writers didn't do so well. And I don't know, some of the shows went wonky, like Batwoman. I don't know. So otherwise, you know, yeah, just
me.
Yeah. I've got my friend who is now off the mortal coil. I've got his thing in a little bit less than a month now. We're doing
an Irish wig.
Oh, well, I'll make it Irish. That's for sure.
How you doing?
Yeah.
But
how you doing with that?
We just, you know, there are some things in life where you will never get an answer about. And this is one of them. So, you know, let me take this time to once again say that if you're listening to this and you're feeling down and you feel like nobody's listening, that's not true. Find some help, reach out. You will find out that you have more friends than you ever thought. You are never alone.
Russia lies to you, man. Tells you no one cares. And that's,
well, the cats keep telling me I'm alone, but that's because they just want me to keep feeding them.
The cats are dicks. I mean,
they try to kill me every morning anyway. So, you know.
And they're foolish because if you die, they have nothing to eat but you.
That's what they want to eat.
That's the plan.
Well, then, yeah, they think that's good now. But after you're dead and decomposed and they have nothing more to eat, then they realize, oh, shit, we've gone too far.
Yeah, but they don't care. They're still
That's
dicks.
A good story, actually. I need to write this down.
Oh, no. Can you kill me in it? Can you just for the cat's sake?
For $250 in a Kickstarter? Of course.
No.
You give me the Kickstarter link. I'll supply the money.
This is why we're friends, John, because you pay me.
I pay you to kill me.
I know. You're one of my dearest friends. You let me murder them over and over again. Dave, how's your weekend?
Well, okay. So Saturday, went to a friend's house. You know, these are friends that I've been friends with since 5th grade for most of them. And so it was September 4th, which was my wife's birthday, but it was also my friend Dan's birthday because they were born on the same exact day. And, you know, like they just wanted to have friends over. It wasn't like for his birthday, but of course, everyone brought something. And since we all grew up together, we all know each other, everyone brought alcohol, and all that alcohol was consumed. And I got home at 4 a.m, and I spent Sunday in bed recovering. So, yeah.
You want me to make you mad? I have never actually experienced a hangover.
When you don't stop drinking, you can't get a hangover.
Well, this is true. I mean, yeah.
But I will say,
Irish genes.
I get it. When you get alcohol in that, when they get blood in that alcohol stream, it can be issues.
I will say that blackberry moonshine is pretty good.
Well, no wonder you were messed up.
And I never had clear tequila before, but you know that was good as well.
Shit is one step up from rubbing alcohol.
Yes,
Everclear, man.
I will say this: the blackberry moonshine tasted like it didn't taste like alcohol. It tasted like blackberry, so it was like you're drinking, you don't realize it, and
That's funny. I've got apple moonshine in my fridge right now.
Oh.
It comes in a jar.
Yes. This came in a jar. Yep. I can't remember the name of the company.
Because you're not supposed to have it. Isn't moonshine illegal?
Oh, no. I can get it right now and show you. Like, does anybody want me to stop the show?
I thought moonshine was something you can only buy from like dudes on the street or like.
No. There's
a
market for it now.
Yes, traditionally moonshine was something that was made at home by people, but I mean now companies cash in on that, you know.
And there's flavors like blackberry and apple are my favorite. You know.
Yes, and I think I had caramel before too.
But it is freaking strong. Like it comes in a jar because you can either pour it in a glass or pour it on your stove to clean it. So
yeah, I guess so. And then of course I had to finish reading the book. What was the other thing I wanted to bring up? Oh, and I did book my hotel room for New York. I'm all set in that regard. I found someone to take the extra pass, so I'm happy to announce that Montego Bradley from Fans on Patrol will be John O'Grady for that weekend.
Much to his chagrin.
But he actually, you know, it's funny. I've been on his show. He's been on our show. We've done crossovers together. He's a very upbeat, happy person. He's one of my favorite people, so I can't wait to meet him in person. So,
oh, that's why you take it. Okay, I see what the problem is now.
You're polar opposite, John. You're polar opposite. But he lives.
It's like Mirror John with the evil goatee and all.
Yes, except he's African American, so you know.
And I'm the evil one.
I can't make that work. I tried. I dropped it.
But they're both bald. I mean,
not bald.
Well, he shaves his head. One day, John. One day you'll get there.
Look at this gorgeous, beautiful hair I've got for another month or so.
And then right after.
Wait. What do you mean for only another month or so?
Well, I'm going to be Sting for Halloween, and then I've agreed to cut my hair.
Oh, you donating it or anything?
I'm planning on donating it. Yes. My wife has been a good sport for long enough. My mother-in-law has asked her, when is her husband going to cut his hair?
So put it in a ponytail. It has to be at least 10 inches to donate.
When it's wet, it's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
It's all boing.
Because that's my plan too. So yeah.
Boing.
And then after I booked my hotel room, my son came up to me. He's like, I don't think I want to go now.
You know, isn't that just like kids?
He's 19. He's not a kid. So
but that doesn't matter. Mine's the same damn way. I don't want to go now.
You know, it occurs to me though, in years past before COVID, we would book our room like early June and we would be just squeaking in. The fact that you could still get a room now is saying something about the attendance at the New York Comic-Con.
Especially in New York. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I will also say this. The hotel we normally stay at is usually like $3 something a night to stay there.
It was $2,000 for the whole shebang, I think. I'd have to look at. Oh yeah, no, we've dropped 2,500 easy. Parking the car is $65 a night.
So it's like I think it was like $330 a night. Currently for that weekend, that hotel is $2 something, and the place that I'm staying at, which is right next door, is the Holiday Express. That's right next door, John.
Yeah, we stayed in there once too.
Yeah, that's like half the price, So I was like, why not? I'll save the money. But yeah, so yeah, you're right. Like,
you shouldn't have been able to this late. You shouldn't have been able to find
find a room that cheap. So we'll see.
Yeah,
and then of course, no. His thing is he wants to go. He was going for the Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments that they have, but the ban list comes out right before, and it's going to change his deck that he uses. And he's like, I'm not going to have time to put a good deck together. And then he's like, I know you're going to be spending a lot of time doing interviews, and I don't want to be by myself at the convention. I'm like, oh, so
I had the same problem when I did 1 or 2 tournaments for Magic the Gathering, and yeah, the ban list is like, what do you mean I can't use 2 Black Lotuses?
That is genius, because the ban list, the whole ban list thing, like, and JD, you're looking like you'd have no idea what we're talking about, but anyone who does these card collecting games and then playing the tournaments, that's what they do, is they come out with new cards, and then they put older stuff on ban lists, so you're forced to buy newer cards. You can't just keep using the same deck forever and ever in the tournament.
It's if the card is too powerful or whatever, but it's really just to drive you to buy more cards.
Yeah,
obviously.
I'm holding an iPhone X Max here. Is the 2018 model. Who knows how much longer this will operate in 2021? Yeah, it's the same concept.
Exactly.
Built-in obsolescence.
Yep.
So, yeah. But
Built-in obsolescence. That's an episode title.
So
okay.
I like that one.
It's a very old saying, but
I like it. That sounds like a book title.
So I'm gonna put this out there. I probably put a post on my Facebook page, and now find myself apparently in the possession of an extra pass.
How'd you do that?
My son.
Oh.
So he's 19, so he's an adult. It's not a kid's pass. So anyone who's listening,
oh geez, criminy,
who might be interested in going, just message me at any of our social media accounts at Superhero Speak on Twitter or on our Facebook page, or you can email me directly, Dave@superheroespeak.com, and we'll talk about it, especially if you're a hot cosplayer. Anyway,
it should be press,
especially if you're a hot cosplayer. Anyway. Hey, man.
Pervert says what?
What?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So anyway, and the other thing is, it's Wednesday. I'm all caught up on What If. Have you watched it at all yet, JD? Bastard.
Well, I didn't have Disney for a week, so
it's gotten good in my opinion.
Because it got dark, that's why.
Oh yeah, it's so dark now.
Everybody has told me that. I have had people, because of this show, reach out to me, the normies, and have reached out to me and said, no, you really need to watch this show. So now it's become a moral stand of mine that I won't watch the show.
Well, here's the funny thing, right? I want to point this out. The last 3 episodes, we had what if the Avengers were basically, we talked about that last week. Yellow Jacket ends up, and it's Hank Pym, ends up killing all the Avengers.
I haven't seen last night's, so don't spoil it for me.
Then the next one is Doctor Strange. Instead of his hands breaking, who's his love interest? I can't think from the movie. Do you remember, JD?
Doctor Strange is
Rachel.
Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel. Yeah.
So Rachel, in the car accident, Rachel dies instead of his hands being broken.
Oh, she's in a car, because in the movie,
yeah.
Yes, exactly. And they pulled a Doctor Who with that, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that, John. And with the fixed point in time thing.
Yeah. Yep.
So basically, he tries to use the time stone to save her over and over, but he can't save her because it's a fixed point in time. So basically, he goes crazy and destroys the universe. I sympathize with him. And this week was the zombies. And that's not a spoiler because everyone knows it was the zombies.
You can't. When they did the Marvel zombies, like that was all over. You can't avoid seeing that.
Here's a question that I think is very important of this whole Marvel zombie thing. Does Robert Kirkman get a check for that too? That's his creation.
He should, right?
That's Marvel zombies. Like, he came up with that.
I would think so.
Does he need any more money?
No, not with Walking Dead.
But this is the mouse we're talking about now, and they're already cheating a lot of people out of
Ooh, don't bury the lead, John. We got to talk more about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing is like everything goes bad because of love in the last 3 episodes.
Well, again, the moral of the story is there's a fine line between love and obsession, right?
Well, with the Doctor Strange one, yes,
Lifetime movie.
I know, but
with the one with Hank Pym as Yellow Jacket, that's more my daughter died and I never got over the grieving process.
Right. Yes.
So that's not obsession. And this one,
strange.
Oh my God, this one. Oh, and then here's the other thing I want to say. I want to say this too. With the what ifs, I hate that they put the voice credits before the show starts because it tells you who's in the show. But not only that, a name popped up. I'm like, oh crap, that's a shock. And then like you're looking for him throughout the whole, and then like there was a twist, and I was like, okay, at the end, like, oh, all right. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want to spoil it for John, bastard.
What I saw the Strange one. I didn't see the Marvel Zombies. That was on last night.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. That's the one.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see it then.
There's a voice. There's a name. Pay attention to the credits at the beginning, and then you'll be as upset as I am because you'll be looking for him the whole time. So yeah, but it's good. It's dark. I believe the next one has to do with Thor. My understanding is so. We'll see. I think it's well. Actually, they kind of did that, but I think it's what if Loki took over Asgard. So
didn't Loki actually take over Asgard?
Well, I know, but I mean, when he was and became like the dictator type ruler, I think that's what it is. I don't know. Again, you don't know until you get into these shows because they're not like this. The zombie one isn't what you were expecting. Like, yes, it's zombies, but it's not exactly what everyone's, I think, expecting. It's interesting because I will say this, the timing of when it happens is right at the beginning of Infinity War. So, right? Infinity War is the one with, that's the first.
Yeah, Infinity War was the first one.
Yes. I'm trying to think because it's not Endgame. It's Infinity War. So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We watched those recently with the kid.
Oh, cool.
He's not happy.
Can we talk about Shang-Chi killing it at the box office?
I haven't. Did you guys see it?
I have not seen it.
Me neither.
I saw it again. Like when I went to the theater, it said it was sold. When I go into the theater, I always check to see if the people bought seats next to me, and it said it was sold out. But apparently they're
doing the padding again.
Yeah, real padding. Like I think only a fifth of the seats were actually available. So, there was a lot of extra room in there, which was nice because a lot of people didn't wear masks. But
I've heard nothing but good things about that movie.
Yes,
it is. It's one of those where you could probably watch multiple times.
I'm very excited. I was really hoping this would be a Disney thing, but it is not a Disney thing.
Well, there's an article I didn't bring in because not everyone saw the movie, but basically Feige said this is the launch of the next Avengers saga is what's going on right now, the Shang-Chi and everything. So,
well, he's definitely part of the Avengers now. I won't say why. You have to see it.
Okay, well, don't tell me, man. Come on. I'm going to actually see this one.
Go see it then. Yeah, definitely.
I don't want to yet.
Take Patient Zero with you.
No, he can't sit through an actual movie yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. This one was very colorful and very.
We watch Ghostbusters at home, and he sits on his head half the time.
And he loves Ghostbusters.
And he loves Ghostbusters, but I mean, like, he just can't sit still for 2 hours.
So far, 157 million for Shang-Chi. So
in a pandemic in September,
right?
Yeah.
Good. It's pretty good.
Which is interesting, right? Because that was it's the experiment comment that was made by Disney, but I guess it paid off.
Wow, experimenting with really good cinema. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to work for them.
But it's different though because they've never gone to like it is a largely Asian driven film, which they haven't done yet. So that's different.
And it hasn't opened in China yet, from my understanding.
No.
So there you go.
I wonder how that's going to play over there. I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, I could see them calling it an experiment film. They called Guardians an experiment film too.
No, they meant not having it a dual release, just releasing in the.
Oh, I know, and I don't like it. I don't like it because if Warner gets the idea, and I have to and they're going to take Dune away from me after I've been paying for HBO Max specifically.
I don't think I said this last week. I don't think they were. Oh, they had this idea to experiment. They went, man, we really fucked up with Black Widow. We might as well just.
I think you might be right. I think because I think they know it's going to cost them.
Yep. So
we're going to talk about that too, right?
We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
let's get to that.
So I know the movie's a thing though, because we were at Target today, and my kid goes, "Oh, that's from Shang-Chi." So it's becoming a thing. So that's good.
Yes. Yeah. See, you said you didn't mention that's something you did over the weekend, John.
What? Oh, Shang-Chi, right? Duh.
Yeah,
that's right. On Sunday.
Oh, I saw the Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny too because I was going to see it Saturday, but Regal's website was down, and so even trying to buy the tickets to Fandango, I couldn't do it. So
I was going to go Sunday, and then I didn't wake up till 10, and then didn't want to move.
Grain alcohol will do that.
Yes.
Imagine what this movie would have done if this was a normal year.
Oh no, this would have broke. I mean, it would have broke records, but
it probably. I would say easily would have been a 300 million opening weekend.
I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Because usually, especially for September, because September is typically a dumping ground.
Yeah.
Right. Like you get all your. That's why it's doing great for September. Like again,
for Labor Day.
Yeah, for Labor Day in the middle of a pandemic. Like because September is not. You don't put good movies out.
When most of the people are going to go see this movie were at Dragon Con.
That too. Well, that too. It's like because like you have all your summer movies are pretty much done, right? And then you wait till about late October, early November to start releasing all your art house stuff.
Yeah, and horror movies.
Horror movies get released in October too. Yeah. So this is September is usually your kind of the time.
So, yeah. All right. Well, for Social Media Madness, we only have one shout out this week, and we don't even have a tweet from him. He hasn't sent it to me yet. But Tim Jones actually drew Teenage Mutant Ninja.
Oh, I didn't see this.
I put it in our chat on Discord.
I never go to the Discord. Hang on.
And so he's finishing it up. He's going to send it to me, and look for that on our social media.
Oh, Tim, this is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
I might tattoo this to my back.
No, I won't.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Bambi. So if you're wondering why is JD so excited about this, and John, you should be following us on social media. And if you want to know how to do that, here's our good friend D Square to tell you how.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of Social Media Madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast as well as some other great content. Check the site often because we are posting some great comic reviews as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them at @stars_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for #GWAllStars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
All right, thanks for that, Don. And don't forget that check out the Omega Level Nerd podcast, available on YouTube and where most podcasts are available. He still isn't on Spotify.
Don, how are you not on Spotify? Like, what are they using to upload their podcasts? Like, if you do Spreaker, it goes everywhere. You can't.
I know. That's why we use Spreaker.
I know. I don't understand why someone does it. It just, what are you doing, man?
All right. Well, on that note, let's take our first commercial break, and we'll be right back with the news.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We're back. All right, fine. Let's start with the big news because the article I added last minute. Guys, you familiar with the Russo Brothers?
Made a couple movies.
Yeah. About them. What are they? Just some, they starting up in the business, or?
I think they made the 4 most popular Marvel movies, I think.
4 of them, yeah, because they made the 2 Caps and the 2
and Avengers movies.
2 Avengers movies,
Yeah. So people seem to like them. Apparently, they're not so happy with Disney right now. And their possibility of making future Marvel movies is up in the air. Something about a lawsuit. I don't know.
I mean, like, if we talked about this, the Van Halen rider, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't going to take out the brown M&Ms, what else were you not going to do? Like, if this is what we were talking about. I said before, I'm like, Scarlett's going to stand on an island until somebody big comes out and says, I'm on with you, because they paid Emma off real quick, right? Because Emma Stone said the same thing about Cruella. They said, here's 8 figures, go shut up, and she took her 8 figures.
Right.
Like Rock's production company made Jungle Cruise, so he made his money.
Right. Exactly.
So, but nobody has like sided with Scarlett until now.
Yes, and I think there are 2 big guys that you want to side with you. Now it's funny because the articles kind of like, and there's been a few different articles. Some are saying they're just upset because of they don't know if their movies will get released like that. If they made a movie, did they do that to them? Some are saying that they're not happy with what they did to Scarlett because it was a meeting they had with Disney and information leaked from the meeting basically.
But was it Elizabeth Olsen and Jason Blum and a few other people have already? I think like once you get a few people, the dam opens up. Yep. So
Elizabeth Olsen was one of the first people out there to say, "Hey, this is some bullshit."
Yep.
Yeah. It is like like I said, at least Warner was like cutting checks left and right to make this happen. Disney was just like,
we're Disney.
Fuck y'all, I'm a mouse. What are you gonna do?
It's funny. I was actually listening to another podcast today that will remain nameless that was talking about this. And the one...
Joe Rogan?
No. And
the reason you don't want to name him.
And the one host is a huge Disney fan, right? And like when the lawsuit came out, he was just like, Scarlett's just bitching, blah, blah. Like, just like, how can anyone be taking their side? Now this one was like, so the Russo brothers walked away. It's not going to hurt them. I'm like, at least his co-host was like, well, yeah, but then other people start following them,
How do you simp for major corporations in this day and age?
I don't know.
Like, that's ridiculous. Like, they violated a contract and you're still going to like, well, it's just Disney. I mean, like, come on, man. They freaking broke a contract. Like, and they screwed up by thinking they could just buy her off and give her some hush money. Apparently, there's not a good relationship previous between Scarlett and Disney. And this is going to go to, I mean, like, if she really wants to take it to court, it depends, man. I mean, they're Disney. That's a giant gamble. I still predict they settle it.
Well, you got the president of SAG-AFTRA who weighed in on it too.
Oh, now there you go.
Disney,
that's a big one.
Disney should be ashamed of themselves for resorting to tired tactics of gender shaming, bullying. Actors must be compensated for the work according to their contracts. Scarlett Johansson is shining a white hot spotlight on the improper shifts in compensation that companies are attempting to slip by talent as distribution models change. Nobody in any field of work should fall victim to surprise reductions in expected compensation. It is unreasonable and unjust. Disney and other content companies are doing very well and can certainly live up to their obligations to compensate the performers whose art and artistry are responsible for the corporation's profits.
This is bad. Okay, is SAG after the president? Who's president? Who's the current president of SAG?
That's Gabriel Curtis.
It's still Gabriel Curtis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Andrea from 90210. So if the union is on board with this, and she's pretty good about these things, so I was wondering when she was going to weigh in. You could see a strike. You could see a lot of stuff. You could see the actors, them saying, no. I don't think it'll get to that, but
there's too much money involved, right?
There is too much money involved. But I mean, like, if the union puts their foot down, you're not going to have scab actors.
No.
That's not going to happen. I mean, this isn't like, it's like when the writers' strikes all happen. Like, you'll have scabs go across, but it's different. Right. And like the SAG, people bitch about the GA, but nobody bitches about SAG, really. Like, not those ways.
Well,
SAG
also
takes care of their bull.
The writers aren't in public. The actors are in public. So they're going to know who crossed the union and who didn't.
Right. It's Disney might have gambled too much on this one. They better start doing some mea culpas and figure this out, because
it's looking like they did it because she's a woman. They thought they could just run over her.
When we talked about it too, she's not super popular, right? Like, had they done this to like The Rock or something like that, this would have been a bigger story right away, because this has been brewing for like a month plus now.
But she's popular with geeks.
Yes, but she also buries herself. We talked a lot about Scarlett's words and stuff like that. How she's not always the slickest, especially with the social media stuff. Yeah. But now that she is getting some support from people, now that the union is saying, "Hey, we back," right? This is interesting. Now it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, on a side but not completely unrelated note, I think the head of Disney is just a complete money-grubbing a-hole at this point.
Well, to be the head of Disney, one need be a money-grubbing a-hole.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like the worst I've ever seen. The guy just took over not long ago, and I don't know if you saw this, but if you've been to a Disney park, obviously they have fast passes where, like, if there's a real long line, there's a short, like a scheduled thing, you get a fast pass.
Bob Chapek is the current CEO of Disney, by the way. I think you were talking about Rob Iger was the past one.
Rob Iger was the guy. Bob Iger's been out for a little while now.
I'm talking about whoever the head of
Chapek, right?
Chapek,
yeah, Bob Chapek.
Well, they just started a new thing where they now have like a tiered thing with the fast passes, and they still have free ones, but then they have like this thing where they want you to pay for them for like a guaranteed time, and they're all saying this is a pilot program to like start charging people for fast passes altogether. And then someone said that's just a slippery slope to just charging people for rides on top of charging them to get in the park.
Yeah.
I think Universal Studios, when I went there a decade or so ago, makes you pay for a fast pass too. So I'm a little confused on why that's an issue.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Just because they haven't done it for years, and they're the largest amusement park in the world. And
fair. I know that. All I know is that I went to Universal summer of 08, and we paid for a fast pass.
Well, there also used to be like, I don't remember, because I know somebody that goes there all the time, and they were saying something like, oh, they've changed a lot of things, like you could get discounts if you stayed in the park, and they've kind of gotten rid of some of them, and you used to be able to get into the park early. They got rid of that. Yeah, so it's just like a lot of cost-cutting stuff that they're doing that, they're never going to bring those things back.
That's the thing with the pandemic. I want to call it pandemic spending because it sounds better, but it's actually pandemic saving, is you make a bunch of like cuts to justify your, the money that you've lost. And often, like you said, when they make those changes, they rarely come back. Come here. They know they already saw you. Come on.
Patient Zero
himself. Don likes him on the show. So you want to say hi?
Hi.
We're talking about Disney World. We were going to go to Disney World, right, this year, but now we can't.
Yeah, we can. The virus.
The virus, yeah. What about, who did you look forward to seeing at Disney World?
Winnie the Pooh.
We're going to go see Pooh Bear, right?
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Cool.
He likes Winnie.
Yeah.
Are you going to get ready for bed?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a hug and kiss. Can I? Love you.
I don't want to.
Oh.
No. Come on. Dad's working. Up to you. Come on. One. Well, hiding in my room, okay? Bye, buddy. Sorry about that.
He's such a cute little Typhoid Mary.
That's what they did to the Native Americans. You gave them some good looking blankets, boom, smallpox.
So anyway.
So yeah, I mean we'll probably see something. And by the way, that quote from SAG-AFTRA, that was August 6th or August 8th, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's a little bit longer. It did not make this big of a
splash, yeah.
No, I'm very surprised it didn't.
But that means that it's had that much time to make the rounds and put leverage against him.
That's a good point.
When you control a large amount of the media companies and control the news, things don't get reported on.
And now we're getting a problem with these mega conglomerations and these like huge corporations that have their talons and way too much stuff. It's just it's not a good recipe. But you know what? It seems like the tide is starting to shift in her favor, and they broke her contract. So fuck them.
Yeah, no, exactly. Hopefully they do right by her, and then I can enjoy Disney movies again. But until then, I watch and protest. All right. Speaking of things that I might watch and protest, you're the DC guys, so I need you to help me out with this one. Mm-hmm. HBO Max orders pilot episode of Dead Boy Detectives.
I have no idea who that is.
Apparently, it's an offshoot of Doom Patrol. But okay, so you guys don't know. So
I'm really Doom Patrol is not something I've read. I like Morrison a lot, but I never read his Doom Patrol stuff. I mean, just Doom Patrol is one of those weird. So
apparently they're going to be on an upcoming episode of Doom Patrol this season, but they've already seen it the heads at HBO, and they're like, "Oh, we want to do a spinoff with them." So
cool.
Dead Boy Detectives are Charles Rowland and Edwin Payne, two murdered boys who investigate mysteries together.
It's a great concept, to be honest with you.
So they're the Dead Hardy Boys.
Yeah, basically.
Who created it?
Yeah. No, it's not telling me.
Are you in Wiki?
No, I didn't go to Wiki. Created by Neil Gaiman.
Oh.
And Matt Wagner.
Oh, well, we did.
Actually, that now sounds really good. If it's Neil Gaiman
and Matt Wagner of Grendel fame.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's actually probably the writing's good then.
Yeah. I'm
always willing to try that.
Yes, Neil Gaiman, not Neil Diamond. That would be a whole different.
I never said Diamond, but yes, I know you're right.
They're coming to America.
Oh God.
Yeah, 91. Sandman 25 is where they were created. I'd never read this.
Neither have I. I feel cheated. Okay.
So this is probably. Oh, wow, there's a miniseries from 2001 written by Ed Brubaker. I've never bad nerd. How do I not know about this?
Yeah, this just goes to
I didn't know about it either.
This just goes no matter how many nerds you've got in a room, and no matter the depth of their knowledge, you will always find something that they haven't heard or seen of before.
Yeah.
But I can say I'm a Marvel guy, not a DC guy. John's our DC guy, so
I know, but like that one slipped under my radar, man. Like I collected all the Vertigo stuff, and I don't remember that one.
There's a lot of stuff going on in Sandman. So I mean, like,
yeah,
it's easy to see stuff that can slip through the cracks.
Yeah.
True. All right. Well, I guess we'll keep an eye out for it. We'll see if it's any good. I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to start watching it. I've heard nothing but good things about Doom Patrol.
Yeah,
it is freaky.
It is getting a lot of good pub. It's also part of the Brendan Fraser Renaissance. I couldn't say the Fraser Renaissance because it seems like that means something else. But yeah.
Yeah, because Fraser is coming back.
Yes, Fraser is coming back.
The Fraser Sons. All right, JD, you've said Gremlins is one of your favorite movies.
All time.
And of course, we all love Aquaman, right?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to have to add cricket sounds there. Well, they're both getting animated series over on HBO Max.
Well, the Gremlins Secrets of the Mogwai which by the way, great title. Secrets of the Mogwai, let's Secrets of the Magi. Great. This was announced a while ago.
Yes, but it's also the part of it is that they're going to be dual on Cartoon Network and HBO Max. It's the first time that they're doing that.
Oh, fair. Okay, cool. Great idea, by the way.
Oh, and also they are also doing a Harry Potter quiz show, but I mean,
why?
I don't know exactly. Like Warner's going to squeeze that for every penny they can. They're now at the point where it's like, oh, let's do a quiz show. You're going to get one season out of it, and then.
I mean, like no, you're right. You'll probably get one season, maybe two.
Yeah,
it's a terrible idea.
Very terrible idea. Though, if you look at the images for the Aquaman show, it's very reminiscent of Teen Titans Go.
Sold.
As I say, I'm kind of on board with that.
Yeah, if it's the people from Teen Titans Go, I will watch that. Because I picked up on Teen Titans Go with my little guy. He hasn't watched it as much as of late.
Mm-hmm.
But we went through a streak where we were watching a lot of Teen Titans Go, and it's a brilliant show.
Yeah,
I could never get into that.
It's definitely they're at that we've got to get in some younger viewers and sell some toys stage again. So
Warner needs money, so you need to put some animated stuff that you can merchandise.
Yep, merchandising. It's all about the merchandise.
But the real money from the movie is made.
Yep.
Speaking of which, when are we getting Spaceballs 3? That was supposed to be a thing.
3.
Spaceballs 3. The Search for 2.
Oh right. Yeah.
It was supposed to be a thing.
It was a thing, and I think they had most of the cast coming back.
Yeah, and this.
Well, that's alive.
Fair. I don't think I got anywhere. That's too bad. I would like to have. Maybe I wouldn't like this. Maybe we're better off without a.
Actually,
sometimes a follow up is not a good idea.
Yeah, you're right.
Am I wrong in remembering the timing that when they first announced it, Phyllis Diller was still alive?
Phyllis Diller was Joan Rivers.
I'm sorry, Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers was still alive, and then she passed shortly after the announcement was made.
It's possible.
So maybe that derailed it.
Could be. I mean, I know Mel Brooks is still alive, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep that man in a bubble.
John Candy, and we know
John Candy's been.
But we do know that Harold Ramis is, kind of coming out of retirement.
I beg your pardon?
Not Harold Ramis. Shoot, why can't I think of his name?
I'll say if you know something I don't know.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis. Yeah. Yes.
I was saying Harold Ramis has been gone for a couple of years, man. Him coming out of retirement would be a big story.
So yes, in fact, he did something with the Goldbergs as Dark Helmet.
Did he?
Yeah.
I've never seen that show. Is it any funny?
It is, but I think it might be more appealing. Like, I actually live around Jenkintown where the show takes place, so I find it more amusing. But I also find it weird how unrealistic some of the things are. Like,
it's a sitcom. I mean, like most sitcoms.
Because they're in Jenkintown and they walk to places. It's like, you can't walk there in that quick of a time.
That stuff bothers you? Like, it's a sitcom. Those have no rules.
Rick Moranis is 68 years old.
Yes. Rick Moranis is, I guess the math checks out on that.
Yeah.
He's been around since the 70s on SCTV. So, yeah, that works. One day we'll get it. But speaking of Aquaman, Jason Momoa revealed the new costume for Aquaman 2. And
whoopsies.
He has a black stealth suit. Selling more toys.
Well, considering the color palette they use for those movies, we shouldn't be able to see him actually.
Okay, here we go. JD's going to defend this.
Oh,
JD's going to defend this. First of all, in the green, in the traditional orange and green, the cod piece on that thing is ginormous. I know what they're trying to tell us, but it's hard not to look at. Second, this is actually a blue and black suit that has history with Aquaman. I'm going to pull something up right now.
Well, it's hard to tell the blue. It just looks all black.
It does, but I mean, like, it's highlighted. Oh,
yeah.
Make me look at this. You're actually gonna make me look.
Yeah, but that's a byproduct of comics. Yes. To highlight something that's supposed to be all black, they use blue.
Maybe it changes color when it gets wet.
Hang tight.
Maybe it changes color when it gets wet.
I'm ignoring you.
I love that. So wait, he turns stealth when he goes out on land, and then it's orange and green when he's in the water. Is that how it works?
Okay.
Well, you got to avoid the honey somehow.
So I just put something in the the chat. That suit is inspired by the 1984 Aquaman miniseries, when Aquaman did wear a more skin-tight, form-fitting blue and black suit. If you guys check out this thing I just sent you, which I found the perfect one, was a side-by-side comparison. You can see this is actually inspired by actual comic book stuff. So I'll allow it.
Oh, so it's not like when they did the X-Men and everyone wore black suits.
Yeah, everyone was wearing pleather. Remember when pleather was a thing in the early 2000s? Like, people actually did dress like that.
Oh my God.
That was a thing. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm waiting for Jason Momoa to lose that hand and have a hook. That's what I'm really looking for.
Do you think they're going to do that?
No, I don't. But that's my favorite variation, because Jason Momoa is essentially hook hand Aquaman for all intents and purposes, except he doesn't have the hook hand. So
that was one of the best stories about Aquaman.
Peter David. Yeah, 100%. That's the best. I will say that's the best run on Aquaman ever. Is the Peter David Aquaman.
Yeah, they even did that in the Justice League. Yeah, and man, like,
didn't he make a hand out of water too at one point?
They did have a magic water hand, not as cool as the hook hand, the harpoon hand, whatever you want to call it. But you did, in fact, have a magic water hand.
Up until that story, you hadn't seen that kind of violence in the animated, any of those Bruce Timm animated series, and then you got that, like, okay, this is where we're going. All right.
That's actually better. In the comic, his hand gets eaten by piranhas. In the cartoon, he cuts his own hand off to save
his kid. Yeah.
He dies anyway. So I mean, like, that's one of the best. Like, God, Justice League was such a good show. They had to cancel it because it was skewing too old. Because as you can hear, grown men are raving about how great the show was, and not 6-year-olds.
Yeah, and if they had stuck with it, do you know how much merchandising My Little Pony made off of the older demographics? I mean, the reason why they went 9 seasons was because of the money power of men ages 34 to 50.
That is an interesting concept, though, right? Because like I mean, look behind me. Like, adults do buy toys. Like, let's be honest.
And we have the money to, right?
Yeah, in the early and mid 2000s, though, I don't know if that was as much of a market as it is now. Like, granted, it was McFarlane was doing his thing, but I mean, I think Cartoon Network and Warner were more interested in marketing toward little kids. But I'll tell you what, I take Wes. I was just at Target with Andy today, and I'm looking at these toys, and I'm like, he likes them, but I'm like, these things are clearly like they're so detailed and they look so good that they're not just for. I mean, they're not. I mean, I don't want them, but I mean, like, I can see why a collector would want them.
Let me put it to you this way: I watch anime on Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll has partnerships with a bunch of toy manufacturers. They make figurines of some of the most popular anime characters. These figurines are fully posable, made of metal and high grade plastic, and like they have heft to them. They're incredibly detailed. Yeah, $200 a pop. They sell out of those immediately, almost every time they come out with a new run.
But I don't think in 2005, 2006, that wasn't as valuable.
You're right. Like, there's more geek. Yeah, well, geek is more accepted now, right? So
then, even though it was 15 years ago, like, believe me, everyone raved about like, oh, bring back Young Justice, which by the way was a good idea, great show. I wanted them to bring back Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah,
that show was fantastic. I will still maintain that's the best superhero cartoon series ever made.
Yeah. But Batman, the animated series, Superman, the animated series, Static Shock, that whole run.
The whole run is great, but I think it truly culminates with Justice League because they balance out so many characters, especially when it gets to the unlimited stuff, because then you get like different characters. Like that version of the Question is still my favorite.
They made you feel so sad for Solomon Grundy.
Yeah, that's a great episode.
They had to put him out of it, and it was Hawkgirl. They had to put him out of his misery. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a show that's worth a rewatch for sure. Like, it's really good.
I mean, what is one of the greatest episodes? I mean, not Justice League, Batman the animated series. One of the greatest episodes of any cartoon ever is the Mr. Freeze episode.
The Heart of Ice, yeah, it's a classic.
Yeah.
Again, because they humanized and really fleshed out a villain, normally just a cliche villain.
Everybody raves about that for good reason. The Mr. Freeze one. I love the 2-part Clayface one.
Yeah, right? Feet of Clay and
the Feet of Clay, and I think it's part 1 and part 2. Like, you never get. I don't think Clayface has ever been realized quite as much or lived up to the potential the character had nearly as much in any comic or any other adaptation is in that 2-part animated series. Like the pathos, the character study, like just like I get so many ideas thinking about what the character could be, and like it just doesn't ever quite live up to it.
Yep.
And who was the voice of Clayface in that episode?
Oh, I've forgotten. Why?
Ron Perlman?
No, we talked about this. We talked about this guy a couple weeks ago because he just passed. Or last week.
Ezra was Daggett. He was not.
Oh.
He was the guy who turns him into.
He's the guy who turns him into Clayface. You're right. You're right.
Now I got to know who played Clayface. Give me 1 second.
It is somebody you know. I can't think of who it is.
Because they always casted good people on that show.
That's
especially
right.
In that first season.
You're right. He was Daggett.
Yeah. Right. I don't know. So yeah.
Anyway, we got off track. So I was gonna say one other thing too. Speaking of toys, while he's looking that up, it's funny because I collect the Diamond Select Marvel figures, right? Which they're based on the comic art. They're not based on the movie. They don't look like any of the actors. Like they actually take the drawings from the comics and base the stuff on that. And then there's the Marvel Legends are so popular, and they do the Build-A-Figure, right? Where like they come out with a series of 5 or 6 and there's a piece of a big figure in each one, and it makes it a chase. You got to collect them all if you want that big figure. So I was, because you had mentioned you were in Target, JD. I was in Target the other day, and DC's got a line like that too. And it was like the Nightmare Batman was the series, and the Build-A-Figure was Bane, and they had all of them but one. And if they had it, I probably would have walked down with all the figures. But since they didn't have it, I was like, all right, I'm not starting another collection.
I was right. It was Ron Perlman.
Oh, okay. It was Perlman. All right. See, I knew. Okay. I got him confused, but I knew it was someone famous. All right.
But they did have Ron Perlman and Ed Asner in the same episode of Batman the Animated Series.
Yes. All right. Speaking of animation and things that come from animation, did you guys see? It's funny how this is. I'm pretty sure they did this as a joke, but it's spawned so many people saying, "Oh, they're going to get a live action Rick and Morty now."
Oh yeah,
I saw that.
There's another thing you could not avoid anywhere. Like you could be like the most anti-geek and you would have heard about it because it was covered on like major television networks.
Right. They did it. Obviously, they did it as like a promo for the finale that was last Sunday.
I haven't seen any of this season yet. I'm really,
Oh my God. Oh my God. There's one episode I love. They're hanging out with demons from hell because the demons like Jerry because his blandness. It's so weird and funny. But of course, everyone knows who watches the show knows by now. Rick and Morty are based on Doc Brown and Marty from Back to the Future. They did like a parody sketch cartoon years ago, the creators of the show, and then it grew from there.
Yeah.
So they got Doc Brown himself, Christopher Lloyd, to play live action Rick. They couldn't obviously get Michael J. Fox to play Morty, but yeah, they step out of the porter. And it's just a real clip. Obviously, it was done on a green screen, but it was like, oh my God, that was brilliant. I loved it. It makes me want a live action Rick and Morty.
I like that they brought in the kid from It because I think he's a great little actor.
Yeah. I mean, again, obviously they couldn't bring in.
Didn't sound much like Morty. I think like didn't have the constant like. Just between, but he didn't have the constant just between puberty voice, the constant break.
Do you want for a quick, what was it, 30-second clip, even if that?
I know, I'm nitpicking. It was still awesome. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so Christopher Lloyd's out there still doing stuff, man. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
We watched Roger Rabbit a few months ago, and he struck absolute fear into Andy's heart for his rendition of Judge Doom.
Wow. Really?
Wow. Well, yeah, that was a scary character.
When he dips the Toon shoe in the dip,
Andy
was just lost it. He's like, Dad, I never want to watch this movie again. It's too scary.
Yeah.
And then you showed him It? Oh.
No, he found it at the Target. We were walking around and we were looking for little Godzilla stuff, and they had an It toy there, and he just looked at that clown and knew it was evil. He's like, Dad, that clown is bad. And then I said, no, it's not really a clown, but it's actually a giant spider shit.
that makes it so much better.
Oh my God. Now it's a thing. He's never seen it. He's never going to see it. And I was just like, crap. Now I realize I forgot that he had a spider bite. He got a spider once in his diaper when he was little.
Oh.
And it bit him. And we had to take him to the doctor for a spider bite. And so now he's deathly afraid of spiders. I thought he was becoming deathly afraid of clowns and made it much, much worse.
So now he's afraid of clowns and spiders because he thinks clowns.
All clowns are apparently spiders.
Yes. Take him to the circus, see how he acts.
Well, he likes Bozo the clown, this famous old clown from Chicago, because I told him how great he was. And he's accepting of Krusty.
Oh, okay.
Accepting of Krusty.
Well,
that's the best you could hope for. You accept Krusty. No one actually likes.
Did you? Okay. All right. I have to bring this up. You brought up Bozo. Seinfeld. You watched Seinfeld when it was on? Do you remember the episode that Jon Favreau was on?
No.
Jon Favreau played a clown. It was yes. There was a family. The woman that George is dating. It's the episode with the fire in the kitchen. The fire episode. He's asking the clown if he had ever heard of Bozo, and he's like, Bozo, you're hung up on some clown from the 70s, man. Yeah, that's Jon
Favreau. I had no idea. I'm looking at pictures now. I know the scene.
It's one of his first roles. Yeah,
man. So when I was in high school, we were driving through a tornado, and I made my dad pull over and run into for shelter. We ran into this hotel, and my dad tells the story about how I ran out of the car, ran into the and he's like, you were like George Costanza running out of the flaming building. You left your brother and I back here to die. And he thought it was hilarious. So yeah, that's a thing in our family. I had no idea that was Jon Favreau. That is a cool bit of trivia.
Yes. So there you go. Yes. Don't be hung up on a clown from the 70s, man.
Actually, Bozo was big here in the 80s.
Oh, okay.
In Chicago, because we had our own boat.
Oh.
What was the
special in Chicago?
What's that?
What was the mayor's name?
Richard J. Daley. No, we had a big thing. Well, because Chicago, it was a superstation, WGN.
Oh.
So it got to be watched from kids across the country. So you play the grand prize game, and kids from Alabama would like write in for it. You know.
Yep. So, yeah. So Bozo the Clown's going to be in a live action working. Wait, no.
That'd be cool.
All right, and our last little bit of news for the week. We talked about they put out like a teaser for this a while ago, and it didn't really show you anything. It was just kind of like a quick little animation thing. Now they've put out the first official trailer for Why the Last Man, coming to, is it Hulu? I don't remember where, or is it Netflix? I don't remember which one it's on.
Netflix, or no, Netflix.
Hulu.
Hulu.
Yeah.
Netflix, Hulu, right.
They're all the same anymore. Did you guys watch the trailer, and did it make you any more inclined to go watch it?
I want to say yes, but not really.
Yeah, me neither.
I never read the series. I like Brian K. Vaughan a lot. I feel like I should want to read it. It's almost like, yeah, I got to read that. It's great. It's supposed to be great. I got to read it.
Yeah, a lot of people love it.
Picked it up. And like, I didn't see a monkey, so I'm kind of like a little like, I don't like, is this really Why the Last Man if there's no monkey? Like,
I'm sure there's a monkey. They just didn't CG it in yet. Or something. Or
this trailer was put out August 30th. There's only 99 likes, 3 dislikes, and only 6,900 people have seen it.
That's like the videos we put out that's like the videos we would put out. Like,
wait, but did I share the one that's the official Hulu?
Yeah.
This is FX Networks.
Oh, FX Networks. Okay.
Yeah.
Channel. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's
a lot of buzz. I almost wonder if they waited. I mean, like this was a critically acclaimed series, but it wasn't like a super popular series. Like it was kind of.
It's one of those things, right? Where it's just like
it's not Sandman.
We've talked about this, right? Like they're all dying. All these networks and channels are dying for comic book content at this point. Yeah, so I mean, I get it, and again, like you said, it's critically acclaimed. A lot of people who've read it love the series. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there hasn't been a lot of buzz, nor have I seen like even just a lot of like talk about it online. And I
feel like 10 years ago this might have been a little more popular, but I don't know, like especially in the middle of a pandemic, is this really the show that we want to release? Like
that was my next question. I mean, obviously they were working on it before the pandemic. Yeah. So
like even the stand came out and people were like, it wasn't very good. And like it just, because I think that the whole thing is unfilmable, but like it just doesn't seem like that kind of stuff. I know in like books, like pandemic books are huge right now, but like as far as TV goes, it just doesn't seem like that stuff is super resonant. Maybe I'm wrong and this is going to do huge numbers, but I mean like
it's going to need a huge boost to make up for the lack of, people watching even just the trailer. I mean,
yeah, no one seems to care.
Yeah.
Here's the real question. How is no one developing Scalped? That was one of the best things the Lady Half of Vertigo did. The original Jason Aaron series. It's this crime drama. Oh God. Oh boy. You've just done it. It's this crime drama series that takes place on an Indian reservation, and they're building a casino. And this guy, the one guy's an undercover FBI agent. And it's super dark and super noir-y, and there's a little bit of Indian mysticism or Native American mysticism in there.
That sounds good.
It's really good. It's like my favorite series. It's like 70 issues, and it's one creative team. It's Jason Aaron and I think it's Pia Guevara. It's so good. I'm like, how is no one developing this?
It's Vertigo. So it's DC.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they're afraid to develop anything that isn't Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman.
That's why The Last Man. That's Vertigo too.
Then how is it FX?
Same with Sandman. How is Sandman on Netflix?
Yeah, but then
like when you're with
Gaiman owns the rights to his stuff.
When you're with Vertigo, there is some creator control.
So maybe they own it, and maybe it's the same issue with let's be honest, it's the same issue with Spawn. Like, maybe it can't get off the ground because the creator wants too much control over a movie for it.
Maybe. That's possible. I don't think Jason Aaron has the same kind of sway as McFarlane, but I mean, because you figure this would be something that would be relatively cheap for a studio to do. Very easy, and it's really good content. Like that boggles the mind on why that one hasn't taken off to me yet.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it's crazy that we can't get a good Spawn movie because someone doesn't want to let go.
Controversial take. Is Spawn that good?
Like, the storyline is not. I've never considered interesting, you know?
I think there's a lot of good ideas in Spawn, but I mean, like, it's not like it's really known for its like writing or its like story. And like the original Spawn movie, like, it's fine.
All right. Let's be honest. McFarlane is not a writer.
No, that's why he had writers come on. That wound up being
right. I'm going to say, so the concept is good, and there are runs with other writers on it that are good. But yeah, like, so, and it's also uber popular. It's still popular today, you know?
I mean, it's got like, it's damn near 30 years old at this point.
Yeah.
It's got some notoriety, and it's, I mean, like, you know, I take it back. The HBO cartoons animated series from the 90s was really good. So
yes, I love the animated series.
I might be wrong on that. The movie, I always think back of the movie, which is okay.
Yeah. The CG cape.
Well, I mean, like, it's of its era, so I try not to judge movies based on the special effects of their era. But I mean, like, it's okay, you know. And it's got John Leguizamo, Michael J. White, Martin Sheen. I mean, it had a good cast. It's just kind of
they made it campy.
It's very campy.
Yeah.
I think that's part of, I think that's like too much Violator as the clown and the camp there. And yeah. When, you know, the Violators, you're supposed to be scared of him because he's a demon.
I also have this thing too. The Violator, I think, is kind of a sucky villain because we already have a maniacal demon clown character in comics. It's the Joker. He's demonic as like a human, but I mean, like,
right?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think the demonic clown is especially at this point, is such an overplayed trope.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, just normal clowns are scary these days. So.
They are. I mean, like, that's true.
Especially when they turn into spiders. Spider clown.
Runner-up for episode title. Yeah, but back to Why the Last Man. I mean, I don't know. I guess we're not talking about Slack because I guess we're not excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Well, so okay, John, what's a property that you enjoy that you'd like to see turned into a show or a movie or something that they've never touched?
Oh, well, I mean, I want to see a Static Shock movie, but it have to be done right. And the current climate at Warner is it's not going to be done right. So I don't, the only other one I can think of, and you're going to laugh, is Squirrel Girl. I want to see a live action Squirrel Girl. We've got Howard the Duck in the MCU. Why can't we have freaking Squirrel Girl, for crying out loud?
Dude, the girl, who would be a great Squirrel Girl? The spokesperson for, I think she's AT&T.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Like, she'd be a really good. She's actually a pretty good actress. Like, I think she would be a really good.
That a lot of people have said that. Like, because
this must be a zeitgeist thing that I must have seen it somewhere.
Yeah.
Online, but I think it's a great idea.
She'd be perfect.
Yeah, because she's super cute, and like that's like the Squirrel Girl character is like a cute character. Like I think she could. I think that could work. I'm surprised Marvel hasn't tried with all the everything else they have in development. I'm surprised Squirrel Girl isn't one of them.
Exactly, and it's a popular character too.
Shockingly.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it is. It's like it's Squirrel Girl, but she's got a following. So yeah.
Yes, and she always defeats her enemies off panel. So I would love to see them do that in the movie. Like
you've been with me, Dave. You've met a real life Squirrel Girl, the cosplayer. She's done Squirrel Girl, and in real life she rehabilitates squirrels. Seriously.
Yeah, but I'm saying I would love them to do that in a movie where like some big bad shows up and like the camera pans away and then they go back and the person's defeated and she's standing over them like.
Oh yeah, no, that would be like
that would be perfect.
Probably wouldn't work as a movie, but I bet as one of those like Disney Plus specials, I bet it could work well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And kids would love it too. Like you'd catch all sorts of demographics for that.
I bet you're right. I'm not gonna lie, I'm half shocked. Like we talked about the Werewolf by Night thing they're doing. They're developing Werewolf by Night and not Squirrel Girl. That's like shocking to me when I think about it.
Yeah, very much so.
Hell, she's even been in the animated series, the Spider-Man.
Yes, she has. All right, Disney, get on that. Squirrel Girl.
We're still probably not watching Why the Last Man.
Yeah,
I'd like to see them take a stab at the Fantastic Four. It's about time they do that
it's on their radar
as a property. because it's never been done before.
Speaking of the Fan 4, this is a little out of what we cover, but did you guys hear the guy Miles Teller, who played Reed Richards in the Fan 4 stick, was I forget who he's playing. They're making a movie about the making of The Godfather, right? And he refused to. I forget who he's playing. I think he's playing John Caviezel,
Okay.
the guy who played Fredo.
Oh, okay.
I think that's who he's. And he refused to get vaccinated and showed up, and they had to shut down the movie because he started an outbreak.
Christ. You know, they talk about privilege.
That sounds like something Fredo would do.
And also like something like that evil Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, that's true too.
In retrospect, pretty good casting.
A perfect casting, yes.
The selfish dickhead move. That's
exactly.
It's very evil Reed. It works.
Well, on that note, we'll take our final commercial break and we'll be right back with our main topic.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right. We promised this, and now we're actually going to deliver the follow-up to The Long Halloween. Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, Dark Victory. So let's go around the room, start off. I know you already read it, JD. I didn't even know it existed, to be honest with you, until you brought it up the first time we talked about Long Halloween.
Gentlemen, before we start, I just got a text from my wife. She's putting Andy to bed. I'm going to bring this up because this is related to what we just talked about.
Okay.
Paraphrase. The kid says, I can't sleep. I can't sleep because I'm worried about it. I can't stop thinking about the giant spider. Why did Dana tell me about the giant spider that eats little boys? Literally is the text I just got.
You put it out there in the universe. And
I did. I deserve this.
Why weren't you talking about that $1 million you win?
Powers don't work like that. They only work to screw me over.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Dave. You were trying to have a real conversation about
yes. So Dark Victory.
Yes.
So John, I'll start with you since we know JD had read it already before this. What was your initial? Don't be spoilery yet. What was your initial impression of it?
It wasn't as it didn't feel as well written as the first as Long Halloween. I don't know. Long Halloween seemed to be a lot more stylized, and God, the word escapes me. But this one wasn't as quite interesting as the first.
The word you're looking for is good.
Yeah, well,
it isn't quite as good.
I know, but it's I don't know. There's a word stuck on my head, and we do these recordings late at night, and I'm always fighting my aphasia at this point. So, yeah, it wasn't as. It didn't grab you as hard, it was so style. The word stylized comes to mind. It's just, when you're reading the first one, The Long Halloween, you feel like you're in a real noir type,
right
book. And this one kind of lost a little bit of the magic of the first. And there were a couple of things about it that didn't make sense. I mean, it was still good. It's better than a lot of crap that they've been putting out, lately, but
yeah.
I mean, it's still worth a read. It's just, it's hard to beat The Long Halloween, which, is kind of a touchstone almost, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I get you're concurring, JD. Any?
No, I compared, we mentioned The Godfather just before the break, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is very much like Godfather, which is a movie that's it's not as bad as you think it is. Right? There's Godfather 3 is a fine movie. The problem with Godfather 3 is that it has to live up to Godfather 1 and Godfather 2, and you get the same players back after 15 years, and it doesn't quite hit the same.
And Sofia Coppola just wasn't quite a good director yet.
She's not directing it. Frances Ford. She's not a good actress. Period.
Oh, well, that's right.
But Andy Garcia's pretty good in it. Al Pacino's pretty good in it.
Of course.
There's this, it's not as bad as you think it is. The problem with it is it's just not as good as the original too. So it's And this is, I really like the origin, and they bring in Robin, right? That's probably the highlight of this book to me. But the mystery isn't quite as in depth. It seems like you're trying to hit on those same beats. They're trying to recreate the success, and it's just hard to do.
So
yeah,
it's funny because that podcast I mentioned earlier, they were talking about, things that get a sequel that don't really need a sequel. And this is a good example of it. instead of it being a story on its own, it's a follow-up. It's a sequel to Long Halloween, which you didn't really need unless you were going to have Batman figure out, oh God, I can't think of her name, Two-Face's wife
was actually
it was actually the holiday killer, and you know, make it a detective story. Like
they made it more of it was more of a detective story than the Long Halloween.
But also it was more of a detective story, but again, it felt like it was missing the noir aspect, John. And it's funny, JD, like I get you like the Robin origin piece of it, but that felt tacked on to me. Like you didn't need it.
I can see that.
You didn't need it for the story, and yet, well, okay. I guess we're in spoilers. All right. If you haven't read it before and you want to read it, go ahead and go read it. It's not bad. Again, it's not as good as the first. It's not bad. And if you have read it and you don't care talking about spoilers, then here we go. So in the first one, Batman doesn't figure out who the holiday killer it really is, and she gets away.
Yeah. And that's in the animated show they changed it. The animated movie.
He figures it out and he lets her go.
Right, which
is even worse.
Was worse, right?
And this Robin figures out what's going on. It's like,
well, he didn't figure it out. He just said, "Sure, that isn't none and not nine," and that was the clue that
I know, but it just kind of it was one of those things where it's like Jeff Loeb doesn't think he's a good detective.
True.
Yeah, no, he really doesn't. Because if you look at all the Hush is the same way, right? Like
he should have figured it out.
Well, that's the same thing that runs through all of his Batman stories. Is his Batman misses the clues?
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the same. It's the same thing 3 times over. Right. Everyone else is solving stuff around him. And not him. That's just the way Jeff Loeb writes the character.
And that bothers me.
It's all there. I mean, Long Halloween, it kind of works, except for the ending. Like again, I feel like it's very like Shyamalanian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're trying to throw this big twist in, and it's like a big twist, and you're like, wait, what? How? Like, and again, all 3 stories suffer from the same thing. I think this one has a more believable ending. Like this, like the killer in this one, you're like, well, that makes sense. You know, unlike the other 2.
Right.
But the Long Halloween, the storyline in the Long Halloween was more cohesive, whereas this had a lot more moving parts to it.
Because they're trying to outdo the Long Halloween.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: after reading this, obviously they can't do it as an animated movie, right? Because
there's a reason why no one talks about this one.
But not only that, they couldn't do it because of all the changes they made in the Long Halloween. Like they killed off what's his face, the son. Because
Alberto, right?
Alberto, yeah. They kill him off. Sophia, I think, ends up dead too in the cartoon.
You can't have that here.
You can't have that here. And all the stuff about Catwoman finding out that the Roman is her father is in this one. It's not in the first series.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah, you're
but they throw it into the cartoon, which made me go, they're never going to do. They had no plans to ever do Dark Victory because they threw all that stuff in there.
And I think the reason that is because they think there's better Robin origin stories out there than
probably.
And I like this one better than A Lonely Place than Year 3, right? Because this one kind of supplemented Batman Year 3. It did. This kind of wrote Batman Year 3 out of continuity.
Yeah, but this isn't a continuity. These aren't considered continuity.
But they are, right? Like they borrow from them all the time. Like the stuff from the Long Halloween, you take it when you need it, because that's influenced a lot of like when Loeb was writing the character, it was certain.
But it was never meant. These were never meant to be in continuity. Loeb says that. I actually listened to an interview on a podcast he was on, and he talked about like that was his whole idea was he doesn't care about continuity. He doesn't think continuity.
Obviously, but I mean at the same time, like these were used as continuity. Like this is like the Long Halloween is Two-Face's origin currently, right? Like that is the origin story for Two-Face because same as like the Killing Joke was never supposed to be in continuity either. Yet Barbara Gordon spent 25 years in a wheelchair.
Yeah, but they talk about Gilda in the comics now?
Gilda never gets brought because it's bad ending because they don't acknowledge that.
Yeah,
but it's like they again like you said like DC continuity salad bar. You take what you need, you leave the rest.
So you were talking about style, John. One of the things, I mean, Tim Sale, I still love his art. Like
the art's good.
unique, and like some of I loved when they kept showing Gordon at his desk. I thought that was a brilliant thing that you could only do again, I've talked about this before. Like if you're a real comic book artist and writer, you throw things like this in because you really couldn't get away with it in a movie or a TV show. It's the same exact shot of him sitting at his desk, but the corkboard behind him keeps changing and things keep getting added to it and moved around as they're working on the case.
Yeah.
You know, like I love that aspect of the book. I like those things. Yeah. I mean, I read it.
Wow, if that's what you can say, I read it. I mean, it's still better than a lot of the stuff that you find today. It's, you know, there's a lot to it. It's interesting, but it's just not as well. It's not as cohesive as the first one. That's all.
Okay, so spoiler: Sophia's the killer in this one. Did you see it coming before we got there? That's my question. I'll start with John.
You kind of had a hint, right? It's like. There were two killers basically, right? I mean, Calendar Man, and because, you know, he was creeping around the walls. Yeah. Inside the walls of what's his face's house. The last son? But yeah, I mean, you know, it kind of made sense. I mean, I kind of figured it out halfway through, maybe 3/4 of the way through. But, you know, again, it's another one of those things where like, how did Batman not guess? You know? Yeah, I mean, they try to like, oh, they put her in a wheelchair and she's so messed up because of what happened to her. And they put the brace on her head and all that. Yeah, and the big brace and the long Halloween. But it's like, yeah, but is she really that bad off? Yeah. I mean, JD, you read it before. Like, I read it 15 some odd years ago. So I'm trying to remember it's hard to remember what I thought at the time. I don't recall if I thought it was her the whole time or not. But I remember thinking when we got to the end, yeah, that makes sense. They just based on what happens in the last book. Right. So I actually think this reveal is far more logical than either this one or Hush. I'm sorry. Well, Long Halloween was better than either Long Halloween. I saw John's looking to try to remember what the hell I just said. Either Long Halloween or Hush. I think this reveal is more logical to the story. Because in the Long Halloween, it's like Gilda did it. Because she was upset that her husband was working too much. Right. Yeah. It's not a good ending. And then same in the Long Halloween, it's like, of course it's Tom Yellett. Had to be Tom Yellett. You pointed it. You mean in Hush? In Hush, yeah. It's late, like John says. Sorry. In Hush, it had to be Tom Yellett the whole time. But the fact that you find it was actually the Riddler pulling the strings behind it. Like, it's just like, really? Like, again, I don't think Hush is super overrated. It should have been Jason Todd. You know, that was the way to bring him back. The way they actually brought him back isn't as good. Yeah. And like, so this story, I think, actually works better. But the stuff leading up to it, it's just like you're checking all the boxes. Like you're trying to recapture the magic from before, and it's good. Like I don't want to call it workmanlike because it's insulting. Like it's solid. But it's just not as good because the Long Halloween is such a game changer. At least with, and I'm with you, JD. Like by the time I got to the end, I don't know if I saw it coming, but I was just like, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna say that with this, and in the one aspect of what makes it better is they gave you a villain who they established her story the last time. So if you've read it, if you read the Long Halloween, then it's like, okay. She has motivation. It makes sense. She's the bad guy, right? Like that works. But other than that, it's just like, I don't know. No, I agree. I don't. Like I said, for me, the best part of this is bringing in Robin. Like, it's hard. Like I think, but again, that also kind of felt like, and I get it. It felt like they did that to pad the story to get it to 12 issues. 12 issues, right? The other thing that seemed like padding is they kind of insinuated that he had been infected by the fear gas, and that's why he started pushing everybody away, including Catwoman. But they'd never amounted it. Like that plot just ended with Alfred going, "I'll get my medicine back," and then it never went anywhere. Like nothing changed after that. Yeah. And that's one of the things too, right? Because like they spend this time establishing that he's pushing people away, and then he brings in Robin. It was like,
That's why it felt tacked in.
See, I don't think that feels tacked in. I feel like he was pushing people away, and bringing in Robin is his attempt to stop doing that. As he's reaching out to someone that the same as before.
And I get that. I get that, but I don't feel like they explain that well in the book.
I'm always a big fan of like what goes on in comics is what happens in between the gutters, and you read the character intentions.
Yeah.
And it's like, excuse me, it's not explained implicit. It's more implicit than it is like,
right,
overstated. And I kind of like that kind of writing.
But it's like John said, like, yeah, Alfred's just like, I'll get my medical bag, and then it just like it felt like it was just done.
And nothing happened between. Like you'd think in one of the panels he would have said to Catwoman, "Hey, I was under fear gas. That's why I pushed you away."
But at the same time, their relationship is basically their relationship exists to not be functional.
Yeah.
Right. Like they don't have a functional relationship. They aren't on by the nature of their relationship. They aren't honest with each other because they aren't honest people. Right. She's a thief.
Right.
He's a sociopath. So, I mean, like they can't have a functioning relationship. So would Batman tell her that? No, I don't. I mean, I get that. I agree with you. They could have been like, it could have been handled a little bit better. I do think Loeb can be kind of clunky sometimes, especially when he has a lot of real estate.
I think in the post Tom King, he would have told her.
That's a different Batman though. Like that Batman is that story is a long love story, whereas this isn't quite that story.
No, it's not. No, that's more of the cat and mouse type relationship.
Right. But this stuff provides the background, the backbone for the Tom King stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This stuff is necessary to do what Tom King is doing. When those are different Batman and Batman and Catwoman at different points of their life.
Right. Where in the animated, they ended up living in the mansion together. It seemed
and
like.
the animated story feels like Tom King's Batman and Catwoman thrust into the Long Halloween, which I think is actually a disservice to that story. Because it's a young
Agreed.
Batman. This is like that's like a 25, 26-year-old Batman. Whereas Tom King's Batman's like 35, 37, something like that.
Yeah.
He's got the experience behind it. Whereas this Batman is still inexperienced, but he also shouldn't be stupid. Right? Like if he's supposed to be this great detective, that's supposed to be Batman's big thing is he's a detective. He keeps missing these things. He keeps fucking it up. And it is frustrating.
Wait a minute. How old is Batman really?
I've always looked at him as like between 38 and 40.
Yeah.
So we're on our fourth Robin?
We're on our fourth Robin.
No, don't try to
don't do the math because the math is going to frustrate you.
Right.
If you assume
I think he's closer to my age.
I mean, probably, but to get him like functional, like Robin had like Dick has to be like he's probably like 10 here. He needs to be more like 15.
Wait, you're saying I can't?
Yes, Dave. I'm exactly saying you cannot be Batman at this point. You should not take up that sword.
Wait.
I'm getting into shape.
He could do Batman and Batman Beyond.
That is true. That is true. That is fairly accurate. But like I think it's safe to
I'm not gray yet.
Assume Batman's probably 3-4 years older than Superman, right? And they've both been at this for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one thing I liked about the Ben Affleck portrayal. The one thing I liked was like he seemed age appropriate.
Yes.
He was gray. You could tell he'd been around a little, which we don't.
And he'd been through the crap,
Yeah, which we don't get that Batman in movies very often. So I did like that. Like it felt like a well-worn Batman,
right?
Like which is weird because he's super jaded in Batman versus Superman. But we never really. I kind of think we cheated. We just went to a jaded Batman and really didn't get a non-jaded Batman.
We didn't get to see his journey.
If you told me the Ben Affleck Batman was the Christian Bale Batman, I could accept it a little bit more, but you didn't. So it felt weird.
Yeah, no.
That makes sense.
Yeah, there's just hints at why he's jaded. There's no.
Right. You see the Robin costume is dead, but it's just like, yeah. I like. There's things I like, and there's things I like the idea, but I didn't like the execution, which is actually pretty similar to how I think about this story. Like I don't think it's poorly executed. But I don't think they're hitting on all cylinders.
But again, still better than most of the other stories that you get.
Agreed. No, agreed. So, I think anytime you get Sale and Loeb together, you're going to get a really good story.
Yeah, and I think the theme of Long Halloween felt more maybe organized is the word.
It did because you had that Long Halloween theme. So you had that like
every holiday was a different.
The holiday theme seemed to connect. You had that motif going, which really helped bridge the story. This one, you don't get it. It's just 12 issues because the story has to be 12 issues because
Right.
on Halloween was
Exactly.
This could have been a 6 issue.
That's one of the things again, and that's why I kind of feel like the Robin stuff feel tacked on. Like you could have tightened this up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it does feel like it's serving a lot of masters, right? Because like the DC stance is the Long Halloween is really Batman Year 2, right?
Okay,
and
makes sense.
This is kind of what they look at as Batman Year 3, but even it is better than Batman Year 3, but it's just not. It doesn't live in the pantheon of great Batman stories,
right?
But still pretty good.
Yeah, it's about right.
All right. Anything else you want to add, John?
No, I mean, read it. It's an interesting read. It's good for posterity. It's one of the better stories. It's just we're comparing gold to a diamond. So
that's good. Good.
I'm glad you didn't say you were pouring gold to a dog turd.
It wasn't that bad.
No, not even close.
Okay.
It wasn't written by Rob Liefeld or anything like that.
Or Bendis. Ooh.
Well, I like Bendis.
Oh, no,
Bendis
you don't.
does some other stuff. No, I do.
No one likes Bendis.
Ultimate Spider-Man is a really good story. All 120 some odd issues of it.
It takes them 10 issues to tell the origin story.
6. And that was the idea, is it takes a little bit. And that wasn't Bendis's choice. That was the directive from.
And it's so stupid. It really is, because I hate that. I hate it. The only reason you're watching it is because he's going to become Spider-Man. If you didn't know that, no one would have ever read that book.
But it gives you a journey of how he really becomes Spider-Man.
But you wouldn't have. But I'm saying if you didn't know that was the payoff, no one would have read that.
But then you do know the payoff. The payoff is he becomes Spider-Man.
But I'm saying if this was a new hero and you took 6 issues to tell the origin of how he becomes the hero, no one's going to read that comic.
Yeah, but it's not. So I mean, like, you wouldn't do that with a brand new hero. You wouldn't take 6 issues. They did it with Invincible. They make you wait 6 issues before you learn why we're here.
Yeah, true. This is true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the counter.
Well, that's before you get the reveal of who the father is.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the driving force of the entire story, right? Like, he becomes the hero beforehand, but the origin of the hero takes place after he becomes.
But that's the whole thing, is you don't know.
No, that's the flexibility you have with a brand new character.
Yeah.
Versus we need to redo Spider-Man, right? And they did something different. Like, the original origin's like 10 pages, and this one they said, let's beat it out of them, right? And it's better job than like what John Byrne did a few years earlier with Spider-Man Chapter 1. That thing is dog turds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's terrible. Like, and again, I get your concern, but I mean, the stuff they did afterwards is great. Like, those are the best Spider-Man stories of that era, are an Ultimate Spider.
No, the best is the other. Anyway, it's a joke.
Hey, the retconning since passed officially. That's how Nick Spencer's going to close out his Spider-Man run.
Oh, jeez.
How?
I don't know. I'm not reading, but I just saw the headline.
He's going to go to Doctor Strange and make everybody forget it.
I don't know. I mean, they're going to do something. I mean, like, it's good. Marvel's ignored it, but at least if you can officially put that genie away, like, at some point, like, I think it was Brevoort or was Axel Alonso.
Oh, no.
They should have told JMS, but they didn't.
They're not going to put that. I mean,
they're going to
fans. They're going to put it away, but fans are still going to harp on it for a long time ago. A long time.
There's lots of bad Spider-Man.
I can't believe what you did to Gwen Stacy. That's all you're going to hear.
They made his parents fucking shield spies too. I mean, there's bad Spider-Man stories that we just pretend that we, conveniently forget about.
Yes. Oh my God, what was the story? The 90s where his parents come back and then
they were robots.
They revealed they're robots.
They were life model decoys. They were sent back. They were.
Oh my God!
Who sent them back to mess with? Was it Osborn?
Yes, of course it was.
That was before Osborn came back to life. So I might have retconned it so it was Osborn who sent the robots back. But yeah, I forget how the whole thing. Like, that was the big setup for him going crazy before.
Yeah.
That's a shit story too. What's worse than making his parents spies? Making them robots.
Oh my God.
See, this is the thing though, is we talk about Batman and we're like, well, this story It's a little clunky. It doesn't quite live up. Hey, remember that time Spider-Man's parents were robots? And he was
Batman's parents were robots.
This is the sad truth. Is Batman is treated, people dog on DC Comics. Batman is treated so much better by its creators over the years than Spider-Man's been treated.
No.
Yeah.
There's some Batman stories that are not great, but there's nothing like that.
This is true.
What is the worst Batman story?
There's people that'll say R.I.P. and they're Philistines and they're incorrect. But I don't know. What would you consider the worst Batman? That might be a good Twitter question. Get our engagement.
Yeah. Do that.
What's the one where he goes crazy in the suit and what's his face even incorporated it into his Batman story? He has a different name. Yeah, it was in the 70s. It was like a short.
When he was doing the Matches Malone thing?
No. Oh my God, I forgot about Matches Malone.
He had a different. Superman? Superman did that. Superman went crazy and then becomes Gangbuster.
Jeez, I can't remember now. He's got like this purple mix.
The Batman from Zeron R?
That's it.
That's Grant Morrison. That's actually that's what I'm saying. That's Batman R.I.P. And I will have you speak that poorly of Grant Morrison, good sir.
No, but that's Batman R.I.P. But that's an idea that was from an older.
Oh, yeah, you're right. From the 50s.
The 50s. That's it. Okay.
It was when the comic. That's like Prime Comics Code stuff, when you could only do silly story, like of quality. So we got Batmite.
Oh, come on. That's gold though.
Now
I would say
it's gold. It's good stuff. Back then,
man.
I'm serious. Put this up as a Twitter thing. I'm very curious to hear people say. That's an interesting topic for a show.
The fish.
The laughing fish.
The laughing fish.
That's a classic, man.
You think?
Yeah. That's the Return of the Joker.
Yeah, that's true.
That's Marshall Rogers.
I was just trying to think of silly things that they've done.
He was poisoning fish. He was poisoning people with those fish.
I know.
All right. I think we've basically run this into the
all right, I'll say that
I'm serious. Put this up. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm going to, but I will say one of the best is also one of the worst. The Killing Joke, just because what it did to Batman from that point on.
Alan Moore agrees with you.
Yes.
That might be the answer, by the way. But yeah, let's see what people say.
What is the worst? What's the worst thing? Actually, two questions. What do you think is the worst Batman story, but what is the worst thing they've ever done to Batman in the comics?
Let's see what people say. Open it up to the crowd and we'll see what response we get.
I'm going to do that. All right. So I guess what we're saying is you should read Dark Victory, but don't expect it to be a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm. It's a good read.
It's better than the Clone Saga.
Yeah.
Yes. Take a lot of time to read it too.
Everything's better than the Clone Saga. Come on.
I mean, there's some good things that came out of that, but anyway.
Some good things that came out of that. Actually, no, there's much worse Spider-Man stories in the Clone Saga. Let's save that for another day. But trust me on that.
I hope that we get, if they're going to do multiverse stuff, just give us a glimpse of Scarlet Spider.
I agree with you. Then that sweatsuit, sweatshirt costume.
Sweatshirt costume, yeah. Just give us that live action one time, and I'll be happy. I don't need a Scarlet Spider movie, but
it's not a controversial take to say that the Scarlet Spider costume is a good costume.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, on that note, let's go around. Let's wrap it up. Get some recommendations for our audience. We'll start with John.
I don't know that I have any recommendation. Well, you know what? Go see Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi. Sorry. Yeah.
It's Shang?
No, it's Shang-Chi.
No, it's Shang-Chi.
No, it's Shang-Chi.
They did a whole pronunciation skit in the movie. Shang-Chi.
We had Englehart on our podcast, and he says Shang-Chi. So I'm sorry. He created the character. He knows how to pronounce the character's name.
All I'm saying is in the movie, and everybody's pronouncing it Shang-Chi.
Yes, because that's the whole like.
And I'm sure there's a couple of
pronunciation thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
So anyway, but go see the movie. It's well worth it. It's well worth it. And before you go see the movie, go on YouTube, look for Comics Explained, the Dweller in Darkness, and look at Rob's entire explanation of the Dweller in Darkness, because knowing that makes the ending of Shang-Chi way more interesting.
Did you watch that before you watched the movie?
Yeah, because it came up on my feed, and Rob, the guy who does that Comics Explained, Rob, he went to see the movie way before it came out because he gets those kinds of things, and he put together a bunch of explanations for some of the characters. And the Dweller in Darkness is tied very intrinsically to Galactus. Yes.
All right, I'll check it out.
I mean, who knows if the MCU will keep that canon, but it's a very interesting plot point.
Okay. How about you, JD?
On my DC Infinite Universe app, I've been reading a series from 2020 that I missed. The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage. It's written by Jeff Lemire and art by the great Dennis Cowan. And it is freaking awesome.
Oh, I'll have to go
through it. I'm halfway through it right now. It's very cool. It's very, very cool. Very, very dark. It's Black DC Black Label, but it's some of the best Question stuff I've read since probably the Denny O'Neil run in the 80s. It's cool, man.
It's a good thing that the Question, the idea of the Question, that character attracts good writers,
Because there's a lot of potential with that. I remember when I was trying to get with DC, I threw them a pitch for the Question when I was talking to they didn't even entertain me. So this is why, is because this was what they were doing. I'm like, hey, you know what? Jeff Lemire is better than me. I'll give that. So it's good, man. Highly recommend it.
Cool. Well, I will recommend one. You go to our website, superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast every week, comic book reviews by our good friend D Square, and links to all our social media at the top of the page. I am going to recommend that you go to our website, hit the search button, type in Steve Englehart, and listen to our interview with the creator of Shang-Chi. It's one of our earlier episodes. It was pre-JD. John's not on it, so you'll enjoy it. It's me and Ben. And you know what? I'm going to go see Shang-Chi this weekend. JD, are you going to see?
I don't know. I want to see it really bad. It's going to depend on some things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to recommend, like John said, go see it because depending on things, it's probably what we're going to be talking about next week on the podcast.
Depending if my wife lets me go to the movies, that's what it's depending on. So we'll see what happens.
I recommend edible flowers.
Is that a drug reference? What are edible flowers?
Edible arrangements.
Don't you have edible arrangements up there?
So fruit.
Yeah.
That will the actual flowers. Yes.
Not if it's all chocolate covered, but
well, on that note, go enjoy your edible flowers. And thanks for hanging out. Don't let your cape caught the door. Have a good week.